Hi, I'm Camper Jack, and I'm the Airstream Carpenter, and I'm coming to you today live from the state of Rhode Island. And today we're talking about how difficult and what kind of challenges you may face should you decide to change your own axle. Let's take a look at an axle here for this 1967 Airstream Safari. It was a single axle item, and this is what a new axle for this would look like. Right here we see the axle. If you look underneath your trailer, you see the square tube and you see this bar. This bar will tell you what's happening here is there's a rubber cartridge in here attached to this part, and it hinges up and down when you hit a bump in the road. This is your hub, this is your wheel hub, and these are commonly measured end to end by the flat part where your wheel goes on. That's your outside of hub to outside of hub measurement. This is the wheel face right here where the bolts come out. So you also have these brackets which go to plates that hang down from the frame. So they will measure from outside of bracket to outside of bracket, and these are a couple other ways that they measure and spec out the axle. And there is also a drop measurement. Now, I ordered this axle through Colin Hyde of New York State, and they are really helpful to you on the phone, and everything went just as promised. They were very nice people. I would do it again in a heartbeat. If it was worked out for me, I actually would have had them do the work, but I'm in Rhode Island and they're in New York, and that's the way it is. So this is not an easy job. I've done a lot of work on machinery, farm machinery, tractors, construction equipment, cars, houses, lifting things with jacks and cranes and stuff. This job here, you're doing, unless you're in a professional shop and you're doing it kind of rough, it's not very easy. The axle itself weighs about 350 pounds. First thing we have to do is jack, and we put some big heavy-duty jack stands on wooden pads so that they won't sink into the ground, and they're on the four corners underneath the frame part. If you still have a skin on yours, you're going to have to be careful to locate a frame and possibly put a wood pad under there. Then I've also gone under here and I've built what they call a crib. And these are 6x6s, about 4 feet long, going across. And then there's some going back and forth, front and back. And then there's another set that goes across under the tongue. And then I've put in some little pieces and shimmed up against them, so you can see what that looks like right there. Little crisscross thing. Alright. And then underneath the back, I've also had a... Now if you have a longer trailer, they do have a little bit of flex in them. You got to be careful to try to get pretty close to the axle where you have your actual jacking points. This particular trailer, they modified the frame with a 6-inch I-beam, so I'm pretty much safe to jack it up wherever I desired. But I've also got jack stands under the back, and then because of the strength of it, after I took my tires off, I piled them up under the bumper so that I would feel safe working underneath this without fear of it falling down and crushing me. And just to test the stability, I just lean against it and see if I can shake it. And it won't even shake. And so that gets us to a very safe place to work. Now, we've got the tires off, and then we look underneath, and there are these plates that hang down, and you see the bracket, the old bracket welded onto the square tube, and there are 4 bolts that go through. There's one in the front on each side and one on the back on each side. And then you'll see these oddball wheelbarrow legs. These were a safety skid in case you got a flat tire out there in the boonies. You wouldn't drag your wheel onto the ground. So, what happens to these over the course of time? This is original, and the rubber in here will solidify, it petrifies, and there's no longer any flexing action on this. Some of these, when they die, they're straight up and down, but if you lower this onto the ground or raise it up or jump, this never flexes. It is at this angle, period. And that makes it for a very hard ride. It's like a solid axle. So, even though your brakes, your brake backing pad, this will come off if you want to. Try to order one with it's just the axle. But so, first thing we did, and we don't have the fancy impact equipment. If you have a 1/2 inch electric impactor, you may be able to dislodge these nuts. It's a 15/16 on my camper, and there's a 15/16 head on the other side. Typically they're really rusted up bad. I heated mine with a little torch for the count of 50, a 50 count with a baby propane torch, and sprayed liquid wrench on it. The good old Burnsomatic propane torch, just a little propane, and then some liquid wrench. I've already cut off the brake wires, and the brake wires are disconnected and pulled out of the way so we won't get those melted. Heat those up, and then depends on how much you know about mechanics, but if you have 2 wrenches like this, and you put one on the inside and one on the outside, and they are lined up pretty close, they'll be about 1 inch apart down here at the bottom, okay? And then you take a 3rd tool and you stick it between the handles and you use it as a pry bar. You can hammer on the side of the nut. Well, the nut's somewhere, but after you heat it up, you can hammer on the side of the nut to kind of like help dislodge it. But you can see here, this thing was really rusty, and there was some real solid rust right on the end where the threads came through, 2 inches, you know, two extra threads sticking out of the nut. That's what holds it tight. So now I've got these all loose. Now from the outside I could take them out and not be under it. I could put some wood blocks under there so it's gonna drop down about 1 inch. I'm gonna have some plywood where the wheels are gonna drop down towards the ground. And I have 2 of the regular automotive style jacks that a hobbyist or a homeowner might have to jack up his car to do a brake job in his garage. So those 1-ton automotive style jacks, those will be used under the square tube, and I'll have the some kind of a dolly Now I have some old flat furniture dollies. Those will work if you have plywood underneath the wheels, and we're just going to tie a rope to it after it drops down, and we'll drag it out from underneath the camper. We'll drag the new one back under there, and we'll put plywood under them, and we'll jack up underneath the and what happens is, if your wheels are like this, the wheel part is on the ground, and your square part of your axle tube is a little bit forward of it. So what we do is, we have this just as good as we can, fairly close to in place, and we pivot the square tube up until the front two bolts can be put through the frame. We put the front two bolts in, and then we rotate the back part up into place, and then we put the back bolts in. Very, very slow procedure. You have to be careful that it's lined up, that it doesn't get stuck, and you can do it. Two professionals in a workshop with equipment can take care of this in probably a half a day or a day, depending upon how good their equipment is and what they have to work with. But for myself out here behind the barn, I'm going to be happy if I can get it done in a week's worth of part-time effort. So it will get done. The important thing is safety. Don't hurt yourself. Don't drop the camper on you. Don't drop the axle on you. Don't twist your back. Don't smash your knuckles. All of these things, you wear safety equipment. You wear special work boots, safety-toed work boots. If you're going to accept this challenge to do this yourself and not have it done at a shop, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. This is a heavy-duty job, and it does have a risk. It does have a risk, and it's worth paying to have it done by professionals if you don't have the confidence that your professional level is good like that. So just gonna try to show you a little bit about it, and I'll try to post a little bit of an update when we get further into the project. Thanks for watching. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and email a link to 2 of your friends and have them watch it just to see how funny the old man looks with his giant glasses on. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.